calling all Tampa Lady Gangers, or really anyone who wants to fly into Tampa to see us live at the Tampa Improv on June 26th at 3 p.m. We're going to have a grand old time, and head over to theladygang.com to get your tickets now. See you there. Today's episode of Lady Gang is brought to you by the new Starbucks Baya Energy Drink. With caffeine naturally found in coffee fruit, it's energy that's good. Starbucks Baya Energy Drink is available online at grocery stores, convenience stores, and gas stations nationwide.
Everything is better electrified, and Hyundai has the widest range of electrified vehicles on the market, including the first ever Tucson and Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EVs. Visit your nearest Hyundai dealer or learn more at HyundaiUSA.com.
It's time for a Quickie.
Podcast One presents The Lady Gang, the Hollywood girl posse, with Lady Gang Quickie. Here's Kelty Knight, Becca Tobin, and Jack Vanek.
Let's make this quick.
Our guest today on Lady Gang, this is a special episode, is the inspiration of inspirations. While she was doing her undergrad at the University of BC, she had an episode of psychotic mania, and in 1994, after surviving a suicide attempt which left her in a coma, she decided to drastically change her life. She quit her corporate job, and she devoted her life to becoming a nutritional-based, naturalistic, and holistic doctor. She has a... She deals with the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual world, and she wrote a book that gave me a ton of comfort that is amazing that we will link in our Instagram called Beyond the Label. One of the things that I found within my own journey and my own family to find help at times is kind of difficult because you need to deal with like insurance companies and private practices, and America and Canada are both terrible for their own reasons, and there's such a long wait for mental health help, and a lot of people can't afford it. And so I wanted to invite Dr. Chris here today to share her thoughts on what we can all be doing when we're feeling the feels, releasing some of the guilt and the shame of our own struggles. And I'm so excited to have her today. Please welcome to the podcast, Dr. Chris Bjorndal.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Chris.
Hi, Kelty. So good to be here with you.
I'm so excited to see you, and obviously I want to put out a little trigger warning here, and we're going to talk about some heavy stuff. So if you're not feeling the best, go back and listen to a fart joke on a different episode of Lady Gang. But talk to me about this big moment in your life where you sort of changed, and it's hard to believe, knowing you and meeting you, that you ever struggled with mental illness because you seem just so on point.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 1. And when I was given that diagnosis, I pretty much wasn't having anything to do with it. And so I then walked around in the world wearing this mask that, hey, you know what? I'm good, but I'm not actually on the inside. And I had this inner critic that was just like brutally beating me up every step of the way. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not bright enough. You're not doing that right. Just on and on, right? Really didn't know how to quiet that voice. So my solution to do so was to commit suicide. And because I felt so terrible. And at that time, I was taking 5 psychotropic medications to, manage my mental health. And it really wasn't being managed. And so when I came out of that coma, first of all, I was not happy, right? Like I didn't want to survive. And I know that might sound horrible. But the reality is nothing had changed from before the attempt to coming out of the attempt. Nothing had changed. So I had to figure out another way to navigate my life. And my best friend, she gave me this book to read called A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. So I'm in I'm in the hospital for several months. And so I'm have nothing to do but time. So I read, and there was a quote on surrender in this book, which goes along these lines. Surrender is not about breaking out of anything. It's a gentle melting into who you really are. So you let down your armor and realize that all God needs is just one sincere, surrendered moment where love matters more than anything and nothing else matters at all. And so the key word for me in that whole phrase was love. I was the furthest from love for myself than you could possibly be. And so that's really been the journey that I've been on for the last 28 years is, well, longer than that. But since the suicide attempt, it's been 28 years. So actually almost to this day, to tell you the truth, a couple of days ago, last week.
Wow. And then you were kind of functioning like you had a job and all these things. And then you just decide, I'm going to give it all up and I'm going to follow this passion, and mostly to help yourself. Or at that time, was it first out of a need for yourself to sort of change the way you're treating yourself, or how?
No, it was more so I eventually made it to a naturopathic doctor and to a nutritionally oriented psychiatrist. And that best friend of mine, Lisa, she's also a nutritionist, and was always harping at me about nutrition. And, we could probably do a whole hour on that alone. But to answer your question, it was when I became well after struggling for so long that I was like, wow, like, gosh, this took me so long to get here. And it took me, like, the fellow I went to see, Kelty, was 80 years old. And I'm like, my God, this can't be the only guy in the country. And so then I've got me thinking, I know there's a lot of people struggling. So that's when I decided to go back. Yeah.
And so now you have this fabulous practice, and my family, we have your cookbook, and we use it as much as we can force everyone to eat perfectly. But I think it's really interesting, and so if you could explain sort of the difference between, in our LadyGang group, we have so many girls that are on, different medications and different things. And you go into your doctor and you're like, I'm feeling sad. And they give you a little Prozac or whatever that is, to kind of what your mindset is.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, I'm not anti-medication, but I do feel that it should be minimum dose for maximum benefit for the shortest duration of time. And I think the problem with medication is a lot of people get put on something and then not really told how to navigate that or how long to stay on it, or they get told, and in my case, the belief system collectively in the consciousness is that you cannot do bipolar disorder without medication. That's the standard party line. But I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. So we want to understand that there's 4 aspects to you: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Western system is focused on the physical level only. And I think if that's all you're going to look at, you're going to miss 75% of the puzzle here. As I mentioned, for me, a lot of it was this voice, right? This inner critic, this ego, if you will, that was driving me to not great places. So, but still, the physical level is important. And I also had to work on that. So with that, we want to understand there's 3 macro systems in your body: your neurotransmitters, your neuroendocrine or hormonal system, your organs and detoxification, and your immune system. And mental health issues, anxiety, depression, eating issues, bipolar disorder, sleep issues, addiction, they all can have any one of those 3 as a root. So it's a matter of my job is to figure out which of those 3, if not all, do I have to support in you.
And so what are some of the ways, like when someone comes to you, I know it's hard to do like an overall thing, but you're kind of looking at nutrition and you're looking at exercise and your book, like, what are some of the things that, like, the pillars of health that we may not think of when we think, can you prescribe it to me at the pharmacy? Like, right. What are the Dr. Chris, prescriptions, if you will?
Yeah. So the first big, like, humongous thing is nutrition. And I know people sometimes roll their eyes and they think, oh, nutrition, but you know what? I got to tell you, most of the neurotransmitters are derived from essential amino acids, which means you can't make them. You got to get those from the outside. And if you don't, you're not going to make serotonin and you're not going to make dopamine. Not going to make that. Like, there's just so many hormones that are derived and neurotransmitters that are derived from essential amino acids. So I harp on the nutrition because your body can't make these things if you don't give it the right gas, so to speak, right? If you're not giving it the building blocks, how do you expect yourself to make these things, right? And it's not a slam dunk that your body's going to make serotonin. So I can go into that more if you want after, but basically, yeah, the nutrition piece, there's so many essential things that we need. And then exercise, like the movement. I know we all sort of roll our eyes at that too, but it's super important. Like, gosh, I've seen you do videos. Like the other day you did one that said like, these endorphins, like exercise is what gives me endorphins and that makes me feel good. And you're so right.
Yeah.
But I know how hard it is though,
It's a really interesting thing, I think, especially as women and as like I grew up a child of born in the 80s, but a child of the 90s, and diet culture was like at an all-time high. And I think like in my brain, we really got told that what we ate was to be thin and working out was to be thin. So all of those things were, if you wanted to be thin, you ate your vegetables because was no Weight Watchers points on a vegetable. You know what I mean? And working out was so that you could burn calories. And it's such a disservice because no one ever educated us and said, hey, you got to work out because it's going to fuel this, and it's going to make you happy. And when you're happy, you're going to make better choices in your life. And you're going to be able to choose to not, drink a 900th Diet Coke, which I don't even want to talk about this month for me and my bad eating. But, it's like, it's all a circle, but I think we were told so much. And I know for our girls, like it's just about what you eat and what you work out so that you're thin and you're healthy and you look good in a bikini. And I love your book and your whole mindset because it really is like food is this fuel and exercise as your antidepressant.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a, this culture that we have, this North American culture about paying more attention to what's on the outside versus what's on the inside is a bit messed up, right? And I think that, I've had an eating disorder, so I know that whole game, right? And then when I was dealing with that, I overexercised. So, you kind of have to watch for that. But the exercise piece, we just, as a clinician, where we're looking for, making sure that someone's not masking an eating disorder or disordered eating with that. And are you just, really doing it for your health? Right? That's what we want to be doing it for. But I got to tell you, for me, and whether it feeds back to my eating disorder days, it's still a really important piece for me, the exercise piece. I'm not as yang in my exercise as I used to be, but I still think it's such an important tool that, like, Michael Pollan is a really great author and has written lots of books. And one of them, I heard him talking in this interview, he said, we've given up 2 hours a day for screen time in the last 40 years, 20 years. But what have we replaced? Right? So we've given up exercise for our screens, and we've given up cooking for our screens. Right?
It's so interesting. So, okay, when we come back, I'm going to ask Dr. Chris to give us, a couple pillars of what she wants to have all the Lady Gangers think moving into the summer. And we'll be right back.
Is your dad tired of getting the same tire mug for Father's Day every year? Upgrade your present game with Brooklinen's cozy bedding, towels, robes, and other home essentials. So I am obsessed with Brooklinen, and you know this. It's literally all over my house. Their best-selling Luxe sheets are the perfect place to start, featuring an irresistibly soft feel and buttery smooth finish. Made with the highest quality cotton, these sheets come in classic colors like white and graphite and limited edition shades like aqua blue and toffee. Very pretty. You can treat your dad to Brooklinen's super plush robe, featuring an ultra-thick, luxurious feel and convenient pockets. It'll be his Saturday morning go-to, but hopefully not his go for coffee or a grocery run kind of thing, you know what I mean? And in case they're using the same towel from 1988, give him the upgrade with Brooklinen's cozy towels made with the highest quality 100% Turkish cotton. So give them the comfort and refresh they deserve and get it for less at Brooklinen. Go to brooklinen.com and use promo code LADY20 to get $20 off your purchase of $100 or more. That's BROOKLINEN.com and enter promo code LADY20 for $20 off. Brooklinen, the curators of comfort.
Today's episode of Lady Gang is brought to you by the new Starbucks Baya Energy Drink with caffeine naturally found in coffee fruit. It's energy that's good. It's crafted from caffeine naturally found in coffee fruit, as well as the antioxidant vitamin C, which is yummy. It includes 3 delicious flavors: mango guava, raspberry lime, which I love, it's very refreshing, and pineapple passion fruit. Refreshing, full-flavored boost of feel-good energy in a way that only Starbucks can deliver to us. Hello. Each 12-ounce, 90-calorie can contains 160 milligrams of caffeine, and it is delicious. So if you're heading to a barbecue or going for a hike, or like me, just sitting around the pool, Starbucks Baya Energy Drink is available online at grocery stores, convenience stores, and gas stations nationwide.
Lady Gang is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing, like the Lady Gang, and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare, so it's simple to choose the rate and coverage you like. Press play on comparing auto rates, quote at progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Everything is better electrified, and Hyundai has the widest range of electrified vehicles on the market, including the first ever Tucson and Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EVs. Their turbocharged engines have quiet, rapid acceleration, and you can use electric when you want it or gas when you need it. It's your journey. Evolve it beyond the pump and in the 2022 Tucson or Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EVs. Or you can be like me and get the Kona, which is 100% electric, and I love my little Kona so much. Visit your nearest Hyundai dealer or learn more at HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
The Lady Gang.
We're back with Dr. Chris. So, if you could say, a few things to all of our girls who are in various stages. They're new moms, old moms. We've got, we've got girls dating on apps. We've got girls vacationing. We've got girls, workaholic girls. We've got every kind of lady out there. But if you were to say, these are some of the things that I want you to think about your life and about how you take care of yourself and your mental health, what would you say?
So I think the very first thing that's important is answering the question of whether you're a people pleaser or not. Because a lot of us are saying yes when we really mean no. And when we say yes when we really mean no, what do we end up doing? We end up sacrificing our soul for the sake of another's. And so and this is tough with moms, like I'm a mom, and I used to be a gym rat before I gave birth, and I sort of jokingly blame my child because I haven't been to the gym for 16 years, basically, because my priority has shifted from my body to his body, to making him my priority. So I get it as moms. Sometimes it's difficult to say no, but really learn to pause then for all the people pleasers out there. Learn to pause, learn to say, thank you so much for asking me. Can I get back to you? And if the other person is really demanding and says, no, you can't, or has a little hissy fit, whose issue is that? Right? It's not your issue. So then hopefully you realize that might be a no for you, right? So, but I know I'm still working on this. So it's helped me so much to just create that space and a little bit of awareness to make my yeses come from a yes. And if I say yes and I really mean no, to then really pay attention. Okay, so what's going on for me? Right. Why am I not able to step into that? Right? So that's one thing I think is really important. And the other thing to really understand is to differentiate between the voice of your heart and the voice of your head. Right? Again, most of us are leading our lives, right? Living from the neck up and leading it from an ego-centered place. And there's two great quotes I'll share with you by Joseph Campbell. One is, the heart must usher the mind into the zone of revelation. So we want to learn to live our lives and lead our lives from a heart-centered place, not an ego-centered place. The ego is going to keep you stuck in fear. Like an example of that was when I quit my job, or was going to quit my job, the voice of the heart or the soul or the intuition was like, do that. But then immediately the ego, fear. No, you can't. All the reasons why I can't. All right. And I think sometimes this is an out there view of mine about depression. I think sometimes depression comes, I know for me, because I feel like I have two masters, right? This voice from the heart or the soul, intuition, and the head. And I don't know who to listen to. Because one's going north and the other's going south, right? I need to sort of stay stuck. And then the other second quote by Joseph Campbell is, the psychotic drowns in the same water the mystic swims. So for me, that one's pretty powerful because as a psychotic, I've been drowned in medication, right? Versus allowed to be on a very close to a psychotic is a genius.
Yes.
Right. And they're allowed to swim and are revered in society.
Yeah.
Anyway, I probably went on a tangent there. Sorry.
No. I love this. I think there's a really interesting thing, and I really believe this, that with all kinds of, not just mental illness, but, all kinds of mental things at play, I always have believed that like you're just one step away from like the genius. And it's really interesting because, I've been open on this podcast about how these different things run in my family. And it's so funny because I was feeling kind of crappy and I went to go get my iron checked and all this stuff done in LA. And I was talking about it with my doctor and I was like, well, I have a little bit of this mania, but I was like, I use mine, like I can control mine. And it's like, it's actually my superpower, because I can be so laser focused and I can sit for 10 hours and look at something and, decide. And so I do think there's like, for me, the two things that I'm like focusing on with mental health is one, we need to give ourselves grace, like grace that, with everything in life, like you think, okay, once I get married, I'll be happy. Once I have this baby, I'll be happy. Once I get this handbag, I'll be happy. And then as we grow and we continue our lives, we just realize that that's all a bunch of bullshit. And like, there's never a point where you're like, check, I'm happy. And then it lasts forever. Like, it's just a constant wave. So it's like, I want to give myself the grace that on my good days, I'm good. And on my bad days, I'm bad. And then I also like my big word, and a little bit like my brother's word too, is like freedom. Like I really believe in the word freedom because it's like, I want the freedom to live the life that I dream for myself. So it's like what that means as far as freedom to have energy, freedom to make good choices, freedom to be able to travel, freedom to be able to be happy in my happy moments, like the freedom of not being so bogged down with your mental shit that you can like experience your life and not have these like regrets later on in life that you didn't go and do life. But it can be really difficult. And I think there's like this overwhelming sense of overwhelm. Like so many times in our Facebook group, we get these messages from girls and they're just like, hey, I'm just feeling like I'm at my wit's end. And like, that's going to be my last question. So we get these messages that girls are like, I'm at my wit's end. I can't go on. Someone talk me out of this dark place. What's happening in our bodies when we reach that like adrenal burn where you're just like, I'm done.
Right.
And what can we do to sort of help ourselves is my question.
Yeah. So, that, and you touched on it at the important point is because when you're at that overwhelmed with overwhelm and at that point where you feel like you can't go on, what are we looking at? Is it that you have fried out your adrenals in that sense that you've just used up so much cortisol that there's no gas in the tank and you literally can't go on? So then my solution for that would actually be to tell you, then don't go on because you need to rest, right? Depressed is deep rest. So sometimes that is the solution. We're not just these, wind up energetic bunnies that just, those dolls, right? That they, for the Energizer Buddy, we just don't go forever and ever and ever, right? We're designed to rest. So we want to take a look at your life and see, again, who are you saying yes to, or what are you saying yes to that maybe we need to say no to? There's a lot of, this is not really a nice thing to say, but there are toxic people, perhaps, right? Is there somebody that's really bringing you down? Are you struggling with relationships? We're all struggling. A lot of people are struggling in relation to another. And so looking at your relationships, looking at your life, but mostly going within, because happiness is not an outside job, right? They say there's two ways I just said this in a lecture recently. It's like you want to be happy, and so you put all these things on the outside, thinking that that's what's going to fuel you. But really, you can be, when you get what you want, how happy are you? How long does that happiness last? And just like you said, it's kind of like it doesn't last always, right? But just know that no matter who's listening, whether you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, first and foremost, I want you to look to me as an example that you can get well, number one. Number two, hold yourself You can hold the wave that rises within you, whether it's a wave of anxiety, wave of depression. You're the ocean. You're the ocean. The wave is going to fall back within you. But the problem with Western society is we're always trying to get people out of the state in which they're in. Oh my God, God forbid you should be depressed. Oh my God, God forbid you should be anxious, right? And so we give you medication to interrupt the moment versus complete the moment.
Okay. Well, we could talk for hours, but we can't because Dr. Chris has many patients she needs to see today. She's a very packed schedule. I want to invite everyone to check out your Instagram because I think it's kind of the hub of everything. And we'll post it on LadyGang, but it's Dr. Dr. Chris Bjorndal, Bjorndal. And on there, she has a link tree that you can link to her site and her books and her speaking, and she does some Instagram lives. And we'll link to the book. And you're just incredible. And I'm so thankful to have you. And I hope everyone felt a little comfort today. And we'll do this again. So let us know, listeners, if you loved hearing from Dr. Chris, because we can really go in. This was just a light dusting. And we're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time. Thank you, Dr. Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. The Lady Gang is produced by Alex Ingber, Steve Delameter, and Jared Monaco. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And if you love it, share it with your friends on social media. Like, oh my God, I just listened to Lady Gang. This episode's so great. Swipe up to listen. And if you really want to, which we know you do, please follow us on social. At Kelty, at Becca, at Jack Vanek, and at The Lady Gang. Sign up for our newsletter at theladygang.com and join our secret Facebook group. It's super fun. See you next Tuesday. Everything is better electrified, and Hyundai has the widest range of electrified vehicles on the market, including the first ever Tucson and Santa Fe plug-in hybrid EVs. Visit your nearest Hyundai dealer or learn more at HyundaiUSA.com.